Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor Lawrence is coming to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the Chicago Bears beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 41-17 in a domination victory. Bears give the Jags the first overall pick because the Jets ruined their tank. After starting at 0-13, they take on the Rams on the road. They win that game, and then they play the Browns at home this week, and they win that game, ruining the Browns' chances of winning the AFC North. Anyways, I have a Jags shirt on. If you didn't notice already, I do like the Jags a lot. They're what I would say my second favorite team. I started following because I like the logo, and now I just like the organization because the small market. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the Bears. Well, how about this? Bears beat the Jaguars 41-17 on the road and a what seemed like an easy win. Jags hung around in the first half, made it interesting, and then the Bears came alive and surprisingly, the third quarter. 21 points in the third quarter, almost doubled our amount of total third quarter points on the year, and that's where we broke away.
Yeah, defense really fumbled it really in the beginning of the game, but they hung around. Roquan got 2 interceptions, even though he's not a Pro Bowler, but he leads the league in solo tackles, and now he had 2 interceptions in the game, but that's all right. We don't need the Pro Bowl. He's going to be an All-Pro, so no worries.
Yep. Pro Bowl's just a popularity contest, and Roquan Smith's not a big name. Apparently.
Not yet.
Not yet. Apparently, he's not a big name already, so he didn't get in. But regardless, he just totally showed why he should be in the Pro Bowl with 2 interceptions. The defense, they had a good game. The first half was the team as a whole was okay. I wouldn't say they played bad. And there was a terrible throw by Trubisky in the end zone, but then Roquan Smith came up with that big pick to give us the lead at the half.
But also some bad play calling, being on literally half of a yard and not giving it to David Montgomery was, I think, the biggest fumble of the first half. But, yeah, Trubisky had a really bad throw, and he had a couple overshoots. He had a little bit of a lull of a game, but still topped out for about 248 yards, 2 TDs, a rushing touchdown, and a pick. So he had a pretty good game. But Allen Robinson went, I believe, $103?
He went over 100 yards on 10 receptions against his former team. Matter of fact,
Allen Robinson is such an anchor, and he's so reliable. This is the first time since Matt Forte and Alshon Jeffrey that we had an 1,000-yard receiver and an 1,000-yard rusher. On that note, David Montgomery he has a total of 1,001 rushing yards on the season. He had over 100 scrimmage yards today, but only about 88 rushing yards.
Saw this during the game. David Montgomery is the first Bears player first Bears running back to have a 100-plus scrimmage yards and 1 touchdown in 5 straight games since 1977. Before Peyton, he did something Peyton didn't even do.
Yeah, he's just been hopping off these past games, and I was saying it during the game, and I was like, if we can get the ball in Montgomery's hands, good things will happen. And actually, on the next play, there was a little dump-off route to him, and he gained about 15 after the catch. So he's super electric, and, even when it's stalling, he's maybe only getting 1 yard of carry, but you just got to stick with it, and he'll make the plays like he did. He's been killing it.
Speaking of stalling, we had a little guest appearance today after we went up 41-10. We had a guest appearance with about 9 minutes to go. Nick Foles made his triumphant return to Jacksonville, to the team that left him in the dust. He left the team in the dust, and he left this team in the dust. So he's playing for 2 teams that hate his guts. All right.
What he did is he handed the ball off, got 0 first downs, almost threw an interception, and cursed the team to let the defense score another touchdown. I understand your thought process that you go, it's good for a storyline, and you're just handing the ball off. But then when you start handing the ball off to Ryan Nall, and I get it, you don't want Montgomery getting hurt when the game's already over, but it's like, dude, let's talk about Pierce. Pierce.
Artavis Pierce. there was this play. You got Montgomery, you've got Null, Montgomery, Null, and then Pierce. And Montgomery takes a snap, gives it to Pierce. He gets inside the 5. And what is I thought this was such a cool, moment. They give it to Pierce, and he just jogs right in for his first NFL touchdown.
Yeah, he just missed the touchdown. He got just tripped up, and you know how bad he wanted that because he's But they were nice, and they gave him the ball and untouched. He ran right in the end zone. It was a good play. And
that brought us over 40 points.
Well, what happened is that Montgomery earlier, we'd given them that same look before, but what happens, he fakes the handoff to Pierce and he runs it. So actually on this play, this is how you win football games, is, Montgomery made it look like he had the ball, but Pierce had it and he had a hole right up the left side of the line. So it was a good play. He ran for 2 rushes, 25 yards and a TD. It's a good day for my man Pierce, and you'd love to see it. Jimmy Graham popped off 2 TDs.
2 TD catches.
He had 40 yards or so, maybe 50. He had a great day. I expected a big day out of Cole Kmet, but Cole Kmet was actually pretty quiet today.
Mm-hmm.
And Graham had a bigger day, but it's nice to see the two of them both get a lot of playing time. But I don't think that has an impact on Cole as his role in the offense, but it is interesting to see.
It seemed like it was a Jimmy day instead of a Cole day, where against Houston and against Minnesota, it seemed to be more towards Kmet than towards Graham.
Yep. But that's all right. I mean, it was good. And now...
You were anxious. You were fearful.
Well, I was frustrated. The Bears' defense was playing like dog water, and it was nerve-wracking. I did not like where it was going, but they pulled out in the 3rd and 4th, and it was all good. Now, talking forward...
to Green Bay.
We got Green Bay. Win and you're in.
Yes. Win.
Niners lost.
And we're in.
Niners won. Cardinals lost. Huge.
Niners did that game is probably the biggest game improving our playoff hopes this entire year. And I think the Niners had pulled off the biggest win of their season because it was so immense to keeping the playoff race competitive. And basically, if the Cardinals would have won, they pretty much have that spot nearly locked up, and they force us to have to beat Green Bay, where now, if they lose to the LA Rams, we're in regardless of our finish against Green Bay.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Win, loss,
doesn't matter if we win against Green Bay. If the Cardinals lose to the Rams, we're in.
Now, it is interesting because the current way things are slotted, we are playing first, and the Rams are playing second. Or Cardinals playing second.
That is going to change. I am 100% sure that is going to change because that's how they do it. They wait until the end of Week 16, and then all the playoff matchups that are the matchups that have playoff seeding, playoff impact, they put in the afternoon slot. So very few morning games.
Well, and that would be really interesting because I just would really love to see it, man. I would be very anxious if we lost to the Packers in the morning slot and watching that.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that to us.
So, looking forward, beating Green Bay. Now, everyone's saying that they're going to rest their starters. We don't know. We do not know. Whatever you want to say, you just can say it. We just don't know what they're going to do. We have to assume they're playing their starters, which is what...
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if they already have it locked up. Just you have to assume that going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And with
especially since it's Green Bay.
My same couple things apply that I said against the first time we played Green Bay on how to stop them. That was limit their runs, keep the ball in the air, but also secondaries to play well, which they haven't been, which actually makes me the most nervous. And it was don't turn the ball over.
Now, do you think we'll get Jalen Johnson back for that game? Because that would be huge. Because I think the secondary's hung in there these 2 games without Johnson. But if we want to contain Adams, well, Fuller will be on Adams pretty much all day. And if it's on the other side, it most likely would be Johnson. If not Johnson, it's someone like Duke Shelley or Kendall Vildor. And they're going to be, and knowing the Packers, they're going to be going to Adams every single time he's against one of those corners. Yeah. It is going to be a long night
for the Bears secondary.
If Johnson's not in.
Yeah, and it'll just be an interesting game. But we do have Akeem this time around. Bilal Nichols has really had a great time since then. Bears front 4 did not put a lot of pressure, got 1 sack all day, and it wasn't even by a defensive lineman. So
now, I understand why that would be alarming, but personally, not necessarily the biggest thing that is on my concern.
Well, it's a big concern for me.
Because I would assume that there had to have been a point where it wasn't about getting sacks, it was just stopping them, and it wasn't, just basically the goal was don't let him get back into the game, not keep the super aggressive nature. Where next week it'd be aggressive regardless if we're up whether we're up 1 or we're up 20.
Well, I don't even think it was. Well, I'm not just talking just about sacks. I'm talking about QB pressures. We just were not getting in Mike Glennon's face. He was having way too much time in the pocket, and I just was not comfortable where the front four were at. But once again, the Packers with Akeem back in will be huge because that is Aaron Jones ran all over us without Akeem Hicks in there. So having Akeem below Nichols, Mario Edwards, it'll be good.
Now, if you're talking about under QB pressures and all that, I think they did a good job at stopping the run. They had 1 or 2 bigger plays.
The beginning of the game, they were a little
whatever.
rough, but they did a pretty good job once they were able to figure things out. But I think that's the thing.
What it came down to.
They can't wait till the third quarter to get rolling on defense. I mean, they have to play a full 4 quarters against the Packers, and that's just what we're looking at next game.
I think one thing that I will take away from this, we've played Green Bay before. We know what we're getting into, whereas this game, it's an AFC opponent at the end of the year, and they're awful, and we're 500. I think there was a bit of element of surprise at the beginning of the game that we kind of came off a little bit too soft, and especially I know that there's something at halftime where it's like, all right, well, looks like they're coming out with a lot more to play for. It looks like we're gonna have to drive from here. We're gonna have to actually really try here now for this third quarter. We can't, just kind of get willy-nilly take this easy win. We're gonna have to work for it a little bit. And once they got up 31-10, it was over.
Yep. So Green Bay next week we have winning in. That's the ideal situation. You don't want to go, oh well, Arizona, if they lose, winning in. Don't focus on Arizona. We now control our own destiny. So
Yes.
It's win and in. So we're going to win next week. That's what we got to do. And who knows? If we get the 7 seed, we're playing what, 4 seed? No,
we're playing 2, which would
2
most likely be New Orleans.
New Orleans or
Seattle. It'd be New Orleans or Seattle, but you're asking New Orleans.
Well, if Green Bay lost, do they
already won
this week?
New Orleans had already won. They're 11-4. Seattle and the Rams are playing right now as we speak. If Seattle wins, they'll also be 11-4, and the Rams would fall to 9-6. If Seattle and New Orleans, or if Green Bay loses to Tennessee tonight, which is a huge game, I'd love to see it. I think the Titans would win the division. Possibly, I think so. Don't hold me accountable for that. But if Green Bay loses, all 3 of them are 11-4, and all of them are fighting for the 1 seed next week.
So, yeah, it'll be an interesting game.
And even if the Packers do win, I don't think they have the seed wrapped up if Seattle wins. If they lose, then they have it wrapped up because they have the head-to-head against New Orleans. But if they don't, or if Seattle does win, then I think they might have a shot. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really keeping up with the 1 seed race.
Me, personally, I'm not going to focus on any of that other stuff. I'm focusing on the Bears getting in, and we will take it 1 game at a time after that. And yeah, so that's next week. That's what we got looking forward to next week. So bless our souls. We got a week to prepare, week to work on some stuff.
This is the week. This is really the week that Mitchell Trubisky can prove himself, whether he can be a starter in this league or if everyone's going to continue labeling him as a career backup. Yeah, that's it. Points. Our season is on the line next week. This is what I feared. I saw that game once we started the year. I initially thought it was going to be for the division. Now, it's possibly Green Bay for the 1 seed and us for the playoffs. That's going to do it for us here. If you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe because we've got a big, huge game, probably one of the biggest regular season games in Bears history in the last 5 years. For sure, maybe even the biggest. This is it. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we are out.